Imagine this, 2 salons, same city, same service, same square footage, same economy. One does $650,000 a year, the other does 2.2 million. It's the same talent, same market, same Instagram. So, what is the difference? It's thinking. And today we're going to say something that might feel a little uncomfortable. And it's this: your salon's income is not a reflection of effort, it's actually a reflection of thinking. Not how tired you are, not how long you've been in business, not how hard this industry is. Your income actually follows your identity, and identity is built by thought.
Yeah, you guys, there is an enemy in this industry. It's not booth rent, it's not commission, it's not people don't want to work. It's what we call the busy illusion. The busy illusion says if you're exhausted, you're progressing. If you're overwhelmed, you are growing. If you are needed everywhere, you are important. But here's the truth: busy is not the same as building, and income does not reward busyness. Income rewards structure, and structure is born from thinking.
Yeah, so let's make this simple. Listen up. Income follows identity. Let me say that again. Income follows identity. One last time. It's a writer downer. Income follows identity. So if you remember nothing else from this episode, remember that.
Yeah, because, before we go any further, let's make sure that we're clear on one word, and that's identity. Because sometimes we hear a word like that and we think personality or confidence or some deep psychological thing. And it's not. Identity is simply this: it's who you believe you are. That's it. Identity is the story you tell yourself about yourself. Might be like, I'm just a small town salon owner, or I'm not a numbers person, or I'm the kind of leader who has to do everything, or I'm not pushy, or I'm creative, not strategic. That's identity. And here's the part most people don't realize: you will fight to stay consistent with who you believe you are, even if it costs you money, even if it costs you growth, even if it costs you peace. So let's make it even simpler. If I ask you right now, I'm the kind of salon owner who blank, what fills that blank? Because that's your identity. And everything in your business lines up to protect that sentence. So when we say income follows identity, what we're saying is this: your revenue will rise or fall to stay consistent with who you believe you are. So when you change the sentence of who you believe you are, you change the income.
Yeah. So now that we're clear on identity, let's talk about how it shows up. So there's actually
Mm.
3 levels of salon thinking. That's it. Congratulations, there's not 27. Whew. It's not complicated, just 3. So I think bear with us, we can get through 3, right? So we have level 1, which is gonna be our survival thinking. Like, this may sound like, how do we stay busy?" It may sound like, "How do we fill gaps? I see a lot of white space." It may be like, "Hey, let's run a promo because I see a lot of those white spaces on the book." Or it could even be like, "Man, we just need more clients." You see, the focus in those moments is activity. In those moments, the nervous system is also reactive. And the income ceiling is kind of low and vital, because survival thinking creates survival results. We've seen a lot of this going on in industry that, Kevin Murphy, we actually were talking coaching someone in our inner circle. Kevin Murphy, I don't know the whole story, but they made the switch. I guess they were independent brand. So Lindsay, if you know anything too, let make sure I understand this rightly. And then they, went to be able to be distributed through Salon Centric or and
Mhm.
so, this, um, salon owner was like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what to do." Like, I'm so frustrated with Kevin Murphy. She's like,
Mhm.
"It's the only product that team-based salons use. You can't get it at Ulta, you can't get it at Sephora. That's the only reason that I carry it." And she said, I am really disappointed that they went to Salon Centric." And, when I got to thinking about that, I was like, "Man, that is level 1 thinking, survival." Right?
Mhm.
Because truly, I said, I'm going to invite you to look at this from a different perspective. First of all, I've never viewed Kevin Murphy as just a team base. Actually, more people I know in booth rent use it. So, not right or wrong, but just a perspective to look at. And then I also said, and it's at the end of the day, it's not about the product. If you have the best education for your team, the best brand partner with that product line, and the education for your team, and your team knows how to sell, that's a key part of it. Like anything will move. And I said, just because if you move to a different line, it's available at Ulta or Sephora, it's okay. That just means that more people see it. So when they come to your salon and see it, they're like, wow, I saw that. That must be good. And so it's like just changing our nervous systems in the moment to just react and be upset with something versus just being with something. And as we get to level 2 and 3, thinking you can see how that shifts. And what I also told them is I gave them some recommendations. I said, a brand partnership is really beautiful. That's really how you can sell just about anything because they're supporting you. They're giving you incentives, to help with run promotions. They're teaching your team, they're training your team, they're checking in. I said, and truly, like I just know from this experience, Lindsay and I work with some of the same brand partners. And my brand partner for one, and her brand, I say brand partner, her brand representative and my brand representative represent the same brand. But boy, I get a lot more than she does. So it's like
Mhm.
truly just being with the right people and the right brand that are really going to support you.
Yeah, I love that, Jen. Having a great brand partner representative really can make an incredible experience. And so, I love that because sometimes I think, that's what's so beautiful about inner circle is we're not always aware of what we're not aware of, something that might be holding us back. I know she got so much freedom from that insight, and so many people did as well. And I think,
Mhm.
once you move out of that level 1 survival thinking, then that's when you get into level 2, which is stability thinking. This often sounds like how do we maintain? How do we keep the team happy? How do we avoid problems? The focus here is comfort because truly the nervous system is like protective, you know? But the income ceiling, it's stable, but it's capped. And this level too is where many salons plateau. They're not failing, but they're not scaling.
Mhm. So once we move from level 2, the next type of thinking, which really it's a beautiful way to think, is level 3, which is actually scale thinking, SCALE. So this sounds like, hey, how do we design this? What belief is driving this? Like, how do we remove emotion and install that structure? And how do we build something that works without chaos? Oh, isn't that so freeing? How do we build something that works without chaos? Because at this level, the focus is actually architecture. So think of building a house. You've got to have that architecture, that foundation. And when you're at this level, the nervous system is actually regulated and the income ceiling is actually expandable because scale thinking doesn't chase revenue, it designs inevitably.
Yeah, definitely. And here's the hard part: you cannot produce level 3 income with level 1 thinking. You cannot outwork a belief ceiling because income follows identity. And there's a universal principle at play here, which is the law of compensation. And very simply, that means you are compensated in proportion to the value you create and the problems you solve. So, not the hours that you log, not the stress that you carry, not the emotion you expand, value. It's tied to value, and value begins with belief. If you don't believe retail matters, you won't emphasize it. If you don't believe consultations change lives, you'll rush them. If you don't believe your pricing reflects transformations, you'll discount. Compensation follows value, value follows belief, and then income follows identity.
Income follows identity. That's a writer downer for sure. So let's make this real. Let's say a salon owner sees 3 empty slots on a Tuesday. They go in, they open the big door, they look at the appointment book, and bam, 3 empty slots on a Tuesday. So level one thinking, the salon owner would look at this and be like, quick, run a flash sale. Everything's on sale, right? Because that is, they're being very reactive. Level two thinking would be like, it's February, just a slow season. This too will pass. And then level three thinking is, hey, why does my system rely on panic? What structure prevents this next month? The same Tuesday, the same salon owner, just different thinking, different income trajectory.
Yeah, I think Jen, actually, what this made me think of is somebody who, claims to be a marketing guru in our industry. And, we signed up to get their marketing from their salon um, and,
And hopes to learn something from the marketing
yes,
guru, right?
absolutely. And what we've learned is that she is at level one thinking, because the only marketing is this is available, sale, last minute opening, book now. Like, it's always just quick run a flash sale. And I think what's also so interesting is, we had another salon owner who just subscribed to our salon success calendar, who wrote in saying, wow, I've never viewed marketing this way, and I've never understood more about the people that we serve and that we desire to serve. And, so it's amazing seeing at that level three thinking, she's like, this is so good. Like, I feel so free because I don't have to make any decisions for the rest of the month or the rest of the year, or hopefully for eternity. Don't ever stop doing this, And I think that that's what's so interesting, is you have to be aware, you have to use your discernment on where you're getting that information from, because this is where it gets uncomfortable. Your team does not rise to your words. They rise to your beliefs. So if you believe selling is awkward, your team will hesitate. If you believe retail is optional, your team will treat it as such. If you believe money is scarce, your culture will feel tight. They inherit your ceiling, not intentionally, it's energetically, because income truly does follow identity.
Yeah. So imagine a thermostat, if it's set to 72 degrees and the room spikes to 80 degrees, what happens? Actually, it cools back down, right? And that's what your nervous system does with income. If your identity is calibrated to 800K and you spike to 1.2 million and you unconsciously make decisions that bring you down, like you will make unconscious decisions that will actually bring you down, because comfort is powerful and familiarity, actually, I can't get the words out, I'm speaking Spanish today, it actually feels safe, right? And so until you consciously reset the thermostat, you will live inside that same range.
Yeah. Let's actually clear a word, rich. Rich does not just mean money. Rich means abundant, full, overflowing, strong. A rich salon culture is one that overflows with clarity. A rich leader overflows with certainty. Money is a byproduct. So that's what comes from being a rich leader. It's just that's the byproduct. But income still follows your identity.
Yeah, because truly, at the end of the day, most salons are not underpaid. They're under designed. Most leaders are not unlucky, they are under decided. And that might sting, but it's actually also empowering because if the problem is design, design can change. If the problem is thinking, thinking can elevate. And if the problem were the economy, you'd be powerless, but you're not.
Yeah. So I want you to imagine this. Imagine walking into your salon and not feeling tension in your chest. Imagine knowing every team member understands expectations. Every consultation follows structure. Retail is integrated, not optional. Pricing is confident. Promotions are strategic, not emotional. That salon does not exist by accident. It exists because a leader shifted their own thinking first. They got to level three thinking, to true architecture.
Yeah. And I got some good news. This industry does not have a talent problem. I know you've heard that before, right? It actually has a thinking problem. It does not have a marketing problem. It has an identity problem. And once identity expands, that income also expands. Not because you hustled harder, and you've heard us say the word hustle means to literally shake, right? But because you believed bigger. Income follows identity.
Yeah, next week we're going to expose something specific. We're going to talk about why selling feels uncomfortable for so many teams. And you're going to see how that discomfort is not about scripts. It's about belief. Because once you understand how thinking shapes selling, you'll never look at revenue the same way again.
Yeah. So here's a real reflection for this week. At what level are you thinking? Is it level one survival? Is it level two stability? Is it level three scale? If income follows identity, then the real question isn't what you're doing, it's who you've decided to become. Because the moment your identity shifts, your actions change. And when your actions change long enough, income has no choice but to catch up.